Welcome everyone, this is Sean with MTG808 Jr. and I am here with Mike.
What's good?
And Eric.
Hello.
And today we are counting down our top 10 Throne of Eldraine commons for Standard Pauper.
Woohoo!
We got a hell of a list for you guys here, and hopefully this will help inform deck building decisions moving forward. So before we get started on the list, big announcement. Youth Standard Pauper Championship Scholarship Tournament.
Man.
We have a date. It is December 14th at Dirtle Zone. It is a Saturday. Same spiel. This is what, our 4th scholarship tournament now?
I think so.
Yeah, so this is same deal, $750 in scholarship, $500 to first, $250 to second, and $5 to enter. It will be Standard Pauper with Throne of Eldraine being the most recent set legal. So you know, once rotation happens October 4th, then it's going to be the same format in December for this scholarship tournament. So this is game time. Big game time. Okay, so that is happening. Of course, scholarship tournament and all of our tournaments would not be possible if it was not for our lovely patrons over at Patreon. So if you want to support the channel, subscribing, just watching the videos, great way to support the channel. If you want to go above and beyond, go check out our Patreon page. It is thanks to our lovely patrons that we are able to run these tournaments, and especially these scholarship tournaments. Yeah, we feel incredibly lucky to be able to run these scholarship tournaments and provide this opportunity for the youth of Hawaii. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want to support what we do, check out our Patreon page. Okay, so scholarship tournament, Patreon page. I guess our first tournament with Throne of Eldraine legal is going to be October 5th over at the Planet.
That's the day right after release.
Yeah, it gets released October 4th on a Friday. October 5th is our first tournament. Saturday. And the Planet did tell us that they will have all the commons in stock, so ready to go. So if you're worried about getting cards, go check out the Planet's website. Or you can attend a pre-release the weekend before and get your hands on some of the cards that way. And then the next weekend after that, October 12th, second tournament over at Miniq. So we got 2 tournaments lined up. I am excited to see what students, what everyone decides to bring, how the format shakes up. And so let's just jump into it. So we're gonna start with honorable mentions. Mike, you're gonna start us off.
Okay, so my first honorable mention is Fling. It's coming back.
Fling is coming back. There you are. Can I click on this?
So
there we go.
1 red, colorless for an instant. Sacrifice a creature. Deals damage equal to its power to any target. So I say this is, if anything, I would say this is what is its spells needed.
Yeah.
To finish off games.
Flinging a wee Dragnauts.
Yes.
That's nice.
So
that's real nice.
And then imagine if you Uncaged Fury. No, not Uncaged Fury. No, yeah. Uncaged Fury. You
that's the double strike one.
You give it double strike, then you pop off with a Fling.
Yep, that sounds like a real
I feel
nice
like
dream.
if I don't know. Uncaged Fury is usually enough to kill them, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is actually going to compete with Uncaged Fury for a spot, right? But this is a really good card. Of note, if you do fling a wee Dragnauts, the trigger to grow the wee Dragnauts will not resolve before Fling checks the power. So just a quick note there. But yeah, awesome card. We've seen this in Standard before. I'm excited to put this in a deck with Active Treason. So steal your opponent's guy, attack them with it, and then sack it to kill another guy. Yeah.
Rakdos sack deck.
I mean, I had a Rakdos sack deck previously with no Fling. Just had to settle for Vicious Offering, but Fling being able to go to the Dome, I think, gives a special kind of insult to the injury.
And I think this would definitely be a good replacement over Heartfire from War of the Spark. Sacrifice a creature. It's an instant as well. It deals 4 damage to any target.
This definitely has a higher ceiling than Heartfire.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Heartfire definitely has a higher floor though, so we'll see. Okay, so Fling, good old Fling. All right, next honorable mention. I have. Oh, which one do I want to talk about here? This one is kind of weird, And it's an honorable mention because I don't think it's going to see a ton of play, but it is so unique that I just want to make sure that we talk about it. Fortifying Positions. So very rarely do we see an effect like this at common, where like it's an enchantment. So two colorless, 1 white for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +0/+1. When Fortifying Provisions enters the battlefield, create a food token. And of course, a food token is an artifact with 2 mana, tap, sack it, gain 3 life. So you eat the food to gain 3 life. So Fortifying Positions, you know, giving all your creatures +0/+1, it's only really good in creature mirrors, right? Where like you're going to be lining up lots of blocks. So I don't think this is going to be like a main deck card, but I think it'll be a good sideboard card in white weenie decks. And just the fact that it's a common enchantment that buffs all your creatures, granted only their butts, but it's just awesome to see Wizards putting stuff like this at common. It makes the format, it adds a lot of depth to the format. So shout out to Wizards for including this one, and it'll be a nice sideboard card.
I think it's just nice to show that there's proof that, like, since Warp the Spark, we're getting more and more powerful commons.
Yeah, for sure. Very happy with that trend.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, what do you got?
For me, it's also in white, Outflank.
Oh. There we go.
Yeah. So, we've had removal spells like Gideon's Approach and Summary Judgment, but Outflank is a single white instant, and it deals damage to an attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of creatures you control. I think in lots of the white weenie decks, this will be very, very good. If there's just a big dork that you can't handle, or...
It is potentially going to deal more than Gideon's Reproach.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Or Divine Arrow.
But the problem is if you're against some sort of control, well, not really control, but a heavy removal deck. This does literally nothing.
I like you, because Righteous Blow is still in the format, right? Which is
yes,
for those who can't see the screen, Outflank is 1 white. Instant Outflank deals damage to target attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of creatures you control. Righteous Blow is in Ravnica.
It's
Guilds of Ravnica, the first one. Yeah. And it is 1 white instant, deal 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So it will for sure deal 2 damage, whereas Outflank might just do nothing, right, if you have no creatures in play. But Outflank could also kill a much bigger creature. So you have a lower floor, right? At worst, this card is way worse than Righteous Blow, but at best, it's way better than Righteous Blow.
I guess it just depends on what the meta will look like, whether or not it's going to be big mid-rangey creatures or all control aggro.
But might see play.
Yeah, it's just something nice to look at.
Yeah, something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what else do you got? Honorable mentions.
Wildwood Tracker. 1 green. Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can read it off.
Oh, 1 green for a 1/1 elf.
Yeah, I think it's an elf.
When it attacks or blocks, if you control a non-human creature, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So, it just these 1 drops for green. It's just getting so you have Healer of the Glade, you have Frail Sandwalla, you have Sedge Scorpion, and you have Wildwood Tracker. I mean, like that is. That's
a lot of quality 1 drops. Although I think Healer of the Glade is a step below those other 3. But yeah, that is a lot of quality 1 drops. So, I'm a little higher on this card than you are.
So like, I mean, definitely I feel like this card will see play. But from the rest of my list, I feel like it just didn't cut it much. But I want to see this card see play. I
have no doubt that this card will see play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when it attacks or blocks, if you control another non-human creature, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it's essentially, it's almost always going to be attacking for 2 on turn 2. And I think that's very good. So I'm higher on this than you. I'll talk more about it when we get to the spot on my list.
And the greens don't usually run any humans, right?
Yeah, very rarely.
Yeah.
Okay, my next honorable mention, I have a red card. Redcap Raiders. So
is that 1 drop?
It is a 3 drop.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was at the top of that one. There it is. So we red was playing Frilled Death Spitter and the Gitu Journey Mage, both of which rotated out. So like the middle of red's curve is kind of a big question mark right now, and I think that this is going to fill it. Becoming a 4/3 trample when it attacks, right? And it's not that hard to turn it into a 4/3 trample, right? You just play another creature the next turn. You can't attack with it anyway, so you want to be able to tap it to make this guy bigger. And that's just really big for a 3-mana creature. So, I don't think it's super exciting. Not every red deck is going to want to play a bunch of 3-drops, but if you do, then I think this is going to be the go-to one, at least for now. All right, one more honorable mention.
I would have to say it would be Scorching Dragonfire.
Ooh.
So we lose Lightning Strike. That's real sad. I really love Lightning Strike, especially since it could hit face.
Yeah.
But this is a decent replacement, especially for decks that just want removal for creatures. And it exiles it, which might or might not be relevant depending on if you're against a black deck with like a Soul Salvage thing going on.
Right. The exile might be relevant.
Yeah.
I think I don't have this anywhere on my list at all. I didn't even list it in my honorable mentions, but I think that this would for sure be very high on our list if Jaya's Greeting was not already legal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Jaya's Greeting, I think, is going to be played in full force before you even consider this card,
right.
unless like Soul Salvage is everywhere. But
because you sets up your draw.
Right.
Yeah.
The Scry is just always relevant, whereas the Exile is only maybe relevant. So, but, I mean, like, if Jaya's Greeting wasn't around, this would just be, like, an auto 4 in every red deck, right? So, very, very powerful card, just slightly overshadowed. Its niche has already been filled. All right. Good call on that one. Are we good on honorable mentions, or do you want to move on, or any other ones? Okay, I have just one more that I want to touch on. It's black. And this is another card that I think is powerful, but again, I think its niche might already be filled. Forever Young. So it's 1 black, 1 colorless sorcery. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library, and you draw a card. So sometimes you might want this instead of Soul Salvage.
Yes.
I think, like, in terms of the aggro decks that just care about, like, refueling and making sure that their next couple of draws are solid, they might want this over Soul Salvage. It is cheaper, and then, like, if you're putting, like, 3 or 4 cards back on top, then it's not quite card advantage, but it accomplishes what you're trying to do. So,
and it's a cantrip, so you get to get that one.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, you play this to choose 0 creatures and then just draw a card.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think it has some potential, but it is competing with a proven, very powerful card already with Soul Salvage. So, that's my last honorable mention. Okay. We ready for number 10s?
Yeah, I think we are.
All right, Mike.
For me, it would be... I can put in order. Okay, Rose, Thorn, Halberd.
That's the...
It's one green...
The green one, okay. Number 10. All right, talk about Rose, Thorn. There it is.
It's, for me, when I look at it, when it enters, so 1 green for equipment, when it enters the battlefield, attach it to a non-human creature, which pretty much all mono green aggro decks would want this card. And it gives a equipped creature +2/+1. I mean, the equip, the cost is 5. That is a lot.
It equips for 5, yeah.
So it kind of reminds me a little bit of Stormform Hybrid, and I think Sean mentioned this earlier. So, like, in aggro decks, when you just start drawing out lands, this will help you kind of, like, if you have a creature, you can just equip it, so it protects you from Mono Flood. And, yeah. I was looking at this, like, I think it's going to be good, but I'm just trying to, just seeing where it's going to go. I can see this in, like, a green-white deck. There's that one fox. Flutterfox. As long as you control artifact or enchantment, it gains flying. So this will be a good piece as well.
I haven't even, yeah.
So you gotta kind of see this as an aura that stays on the field, right?
Yeah. Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot.
I am much higher on this card than you, so
Oh.
I will
Oh,
I will
that-
save my
No, I'm much higher.
I
Oh,
will
okay.
save my discussion of it for that point.
All right. All right.
But yeah, definitely Rose Thorn Halberd. I agree with everything you said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my number 10 is Merchant of the Veil.
Oh, I love him.
So he is an adventure creature. So this is our first adventure creature, new mechanic with Throne of Eldraine. Basically, the adventure creatures, you can either play them as a creature, or you can play them as a spell. And then if you play them as a spell, you exile them. They go on their adventure, and then
They
you
come
can
back.
you can still play them as a creature from exile. So Merchant of the Veil is a 1 red, 2 colorless human peasant creature. It's a 2/3, and you can pay 2 colorless and a red to discard a card and draw a card. That's just the creature side. And then if you want to, before you play it as a creature, you can send it on the adventure, which is called Haggle. It is an instant. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. So this card is just super, super flexible, right? Having the option of adventuring. A lot of the common adventure creatures are kind of like meh.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the more unique ones, right? That could have applications. Basically, I think that the red aggro decks, when they flood out, they just lose.
Yeah.
Right? And this, I think, protects them from that very, very well. And, you know, a 3-mana 2/3 body is not really what a red aggro deck is in the market for, but just turning every single extra land into,
An extra card.
you know,
Yeah.
a new card, I think is very much worth at least a couple spots in mono red aggro. And maybe it'll find its way into other decks as well.
So the way that I think about these adventure cards, you need to see if each side is good enough on its own. So like, is Haggle good enough as a card on its own, and is Merchant of the Veil good enough on its own? And honestly, I think both are pretty fine.
I wouldn't, if Haggle did not have the creature attached to it, I would never play it.
Oh yeah,
But since it's attached to the creature,
yeah. It's,
Yeah.
like Haggle's fine, but I really like Merchant of the Veil because
yeah,
his ability is not a tap ability.
yeah, you can
You can-
activate it multiple times
Yep.
on a turn, definitely.
You know, for some reason, I think like if Izzet spells played this,
Like as a
you
late game.
Yeah. You
Sure.
you haggle,
Yeah,
then you bring it in.
I didn't think about it
Mhm.
because
So then-
it is an instant, so it will trigger
It'll
their
trigger
stuff.
their-
Yeah, I didn't think about it in that application. I was just thinking about it,
Yeah.
you know, flood protection in mono red. But that deck, you know,
So
when that deck like needs to find a creature, they need to find a creature. So
I think we're just salty that a certain looting got banned recently.
that's a different format.
That's a completely different format,
Come on.
but
okay, so Merchant of the Veil, my number 10. Eric, what's your number 10?
okay, so my number 10 are the common lands, specifically the
Oh.
white, the blue, and the black one.
So the white one. Okay, so it's a land cycle.
Yes, it's a land. It's a
There's
plain
one
cycle.
one of each color. They do have the land type,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right?
So they
So
are
the white
fetchable.
one is a plains.
They are not fetchable.
And-
well, in other formats. Sorry.
Yeah, they are fetchable in old formats.
Yeah, you can't
But-
evolve in wilds.
This they come into the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other of that land type. So if you play one on turn 1, it'll count towards untapping future ones. And so so they all come into play tapped unless you control 3 or more other of that land type. And then if they come in untapped, they all have an ability.
Yep.
So you said the white one,
The white one makes a counter. Or
+1/+1
gives
counter on a creature you
Yep.
control. What was the other color in yours?
The blue one
Yeah.
gives you or lets you take a sorcery or instant from the graveyard to the library,
On top of your
or
library.
on the top.
Yeah.
And the black one lets you put a creature card on the top of your library from the graveyard.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason why I didn't pick the green one or the red one makes a 1/1, which I think on turn 4 isn't really advantageous enough, and the green one just makes a food. Food's good, but I think having just a tapped land, especially in mono green, isn't worth having that food token.
So,
And I don't.
But
I agree with everything that you said about the positives of this card. I strongly disagree with a lot of what you're saying about the downside of it. So I will talk more about it when
Sure.
when we get a little further down the list.
sure. But I think the strongest one would be the white one,
Mm.
especially in white weenies.
Oh yeah.
Mystic Sanctuary,
because it just helps you punch through, right?
Yeah.
A creature. It's
It's just a free buff.
Mm-hmm.
The blue one is really good in some sort of control shell.
Yeah,
and
when
the
you
black
just want to
one,
rebuy your best spell.
I just think the black one's good overall.
Yeah. So the blue and the black one notably like don't net you a card, but they increase the quality of your next draw. So it's kind of like drawing a card.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about this, Mike? Do you have it higher on your list?
Yeah. What was that? Your 9? No.
My 10.
That was his 10. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of have it a little bit higher.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to save your discussion. Or do you want to say it now?
Oh, no, you're...
Oh, okay. So the land cycle, specifically the white, blue, and black ones, Eric has as his number 10. Okay, so that was 10. Mike, you're on to your 9?
9, it's going to be a really weird one, but I don't know. I like Eye Collector. One black for a 1/1 fairy. When it attacks, both players put the top card of their library into the graveyard.
Here we go.
So... when it deals combat damage, excuse me. For me, when I was looking at this card, I was thinking, so Guilds of Ravnica season came out. We did have like an Undergrowth themed deck. So like I think we could potentially see Undergrowth come back or anything that requires recursion. And this is a good way to fill up the graveyard.
This is exactly what the Undergrowth deck wanted. Yeah.
And then it goes good with one of Sean's honorable mentions. Forever Young. Was it? Oh no, I'm not sure.
No, it was.
That was my honorable mention.
And
any deck that's playing Soul Salvage, right? Or any graveyard matters stuff. Although, unfortunately, Salvager of Secrets is gone.
Yeah. There's that weird that kind of works as it, but it's like a turn later.
You play on turn 3, then you play.
Makes me so sad.
You can turn 4. I mean, hopefully there's no interaction.
Okay. But I mean, like a 1-mana 1/1 flyer is just like
it's just still really
fine,
good,
right?
Especially in an aggressive format.
Yeah. So we saw people try mono black aggro last season, right? Jeffrey made a very valiant attempt, but it seemed like it was just a little bit shy of being able to compete with the other monocolored aggro decks.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say about Eye Collector? Okay.
I like that card.
I cheated a little bit with my number 9. I have 2 cards, and the only reason I have okay, so it's Marleaf Rider, which is a 1 green 1 colorless for a 3/1 elf knight. You can sacrifice a food token. A target creature blocks Marleaf Rider this turn if able. So that's the first half of my number 9. I think that this card, the mono green aggro decks just have a hole now in their 2-drop slot, and I think that this is going to be the best option. Being able to sack a food to snipe a creature and just force a trade, I think is good. 3 power is good. 1 toughness is a little bit of a liability, but Soarform Hybrid is great. I don't know what other 2-drop we want to play there, to fill in the rest of the curve. And so this wouldn't be good enough unless you had good options to make food, and that's why Fierce Witchstalker is the other half of my number 9. They have to go together. You wouldn't play Rioter unless you're also playing Witchstalker. Yeah. So Fierce Witchstalker is 2 green, 2 colorless for a 4/4 creature wolf. It has trample, and when it enters the battlefield, you make a food token. So 4 mana 4/4 trample, solid rate. You would probably just consider playing that in mono green aggro anyway, and the fact that it makes a food token, you can either gain life if you're in a racing situation, or provoke something with Marleaf Rider. So I don't think that these are a slam dunk in mono green aggro, but I do think that it is a strong option for mono green aggro.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, having a 0 mana fight is really good.
Yeah, just I mean the creature has to be untapped, so
sure.
it's not quite a fight, but I think being able to force that trade on some key turns is a powerful option, and you don't really have too much else going on in your 2-drop slot in terms of mono green aggro. Yeah. So all right, so that was my number 9. Eric, what do you got for your number 9?
My number 9, I have Wishing Well.
Witching Well.
Or is it witching or wishing?
It's witching.
Witching.
Yeah. There.
Oh, it looks like a wishing well.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was calling it Wishing Well for a while.
So it is a For a blue, it's an artifact that lets you scry 2 when it enters the battlefield. And for 4 mana total, so 3 and a blue, you can sacrifice Witching Well to draw 2 cards. So, I just think this card would be really good in some sort of mid-range or control deck. The Scry 2 on turn 1 is really, really nice, so you can just sculpt your hand. Yeah. Just like how we used to use Omen Speaker for that. And later on in the game, whenever you feel like you need to draw cards or you have a free turn, you can just draw 2. And you can do that at instant speed, so you can keep mana up for control magic, or not control magic, but counter magic, and all of that kind of stuff. Removal. Yeah. It's not really flashy, but it's something that'll get the job done.
I want to love this card, and I don't think that its standard Pauper has what it takes to make this card good, because I feel like this card, you need to be able to do something with an artifact sitting on the battlefield in order to like make it worth playing. I mean, maybe just an overcosted inspiration is worth it. Well, I guess an overcosted Tamiyo's Epiphany, I guess, is the closest comparison, right? But like, I just don't think that it's gonna be played over Winged Words or Tamiyo's Epiphany.
Yeah.
But I love this card. The design of it is so cool. I want to see what we can do with this in real standard, but there's just like, in standard Pauper, there's very few artifact payoffs. Right? And I think that you kind of need to have some artifact payoffs in the deck for this to really shine.
I mean, if Gearsmith Prodigy made a reprint, this would be really good.
Yeah, I mean, Scholar of the Stars, sign me up for Witching Well of Scholar of the Stars as well.
Well, there's that Flutter Fox.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, and then that 6-drop that bounces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on Witching Well?
No.
Okay. So that was your number 9. So Mike, your 8.
8 was the lands.
Okay. So why you have anything to add about the lands?
Well, I'm not sure if I'll mention, but then like in the aggressive decks, I think the best one would actually be the Idyllic Range, especially mono.
Yeah, the mono white one.
So I would see more of that. I would see more play along with the Witch's Cottage over like all the other ones, because blue, like the blue one, instant or sorcery. Yeah, I really don't. The blue, the red, and the green one won't see that much play. Like, to me, just the black and the white one are way better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, and even then, you wouldn't want to run like a full set. So like, if I were to think of Amonkhet when we had those cycle lands, I would run at run at least 3, if not 2. Because in aggro decks, it just slows you down a turn.
Yeah, the tap land is a real cost.
So, that's...
Okay. Again, I'm much higher on these, so I will say what I have to say when we get to them. Anything else on these?
No.
Okay. So that was your 8. So my 8 is a blue card. Where is it? Right here. So Tiny. Not only is it a great name, so tiny. But I think that excuse me, in some of the control decks, just having cheap removal is so important, right?
True.
Shock does a lot of heavy lifting. Righteous Blow, like we've seen some control decks play that, but usually control decks are blue. And just having a 1 mana way to just be like, yeah, your turn 1 or turn 2 play now does nothing. And then also this card scales. Yep. So later in the game, well, okay, I should read it first. So it's a 1 blue flash, very important. Yep. Enchant creature, aura. Enchanting creature gets -2/-0. It gets -6/-0 instead, as long as its controller has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. So early game, you're just turning off their 1 or 2 drop, right? And you can do it at instant speed, so you can hold up counter magic and all that jazz. And then later in the game, you're just turning off their like 3 or 4 drop, right? Sure, it doesn't kill utility creatures, but you know, every control deck is just trying to not die, so it doesn't 100% answer every threat that you care about, but it's so cheap, right? And it answers a very large percentage of the threats that you care about. So I think this card is gonna be at least a 2 or 3 of in most control decks, maybe even a 4 of. So
this card is super pushed.
yeah,
It is really strong.
it is much stronger than the variants of this effect that we've seen before. Like Flash is such big game, the fact that it scales, and the fact that it only costs 1. Usually this effect costs 2. So
Right.
all right, anyone else want to comment on this before we move on?
No, I didn't think about this card at the time.
I did, but I don't know why I said no to it afterwards.
Yeah, I just wanted to have something included for control decks, and I think this is the biggest pickup for them.
Right.
All right, so that was my 8.
Yep. We're gonna go to red.
Okay.
My number 8 is Raging Redcap.
Ooh.
It's kind of like the Fencing Ace, but
Oh no, not
no,
this
that's
guy.
Weaselback.
That's the...
It's that dude.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah. So the Pants deck did really good.
Combo.
I know. The Pants deck did really good, and we still get some enchantments to put it on. And I just like the idea that
Maniacal Rage, I think, is
we
the
got
best
Maniacal
one in red.
Rage. Yeah.
Okay.
We might need to shift to another color, but I would want to stay in
the flying
white.
enchantments that at least add power and toughness are both gone.
Knight's Pledge is gone, which is very nice, but
How the Aegis at 1 drop from M20, +1/+2, and it went into the battlefield. You tap a creature.
the +1/+3 one.
Well, you know, notably, this is not a human.
Yeah.
So...
We can just
What was the name of that card? Rose Thorn Halberd.
Yeah.
Turn this into a 3/3 double strike.
That's what I was thinking about, putting it in green. But
growth cycle on this.
The idea of just having another double strike creature in common is incredible to me.
And a cheap one too.
Yeah.
So like being able to have creatures you can play early to put your auras on is really important. Yeah, I didn't think about this guy. I didn't have him on my list at all, but I agree with everything you're saying.
It's not a Fencing Ace, but you know, who really can be a Fencing Ace?
Yeah, well, I mean, now you get to play this and Fencing Ace, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have this on your list, Mike?
No, it is not on my list.
Yeah, okay. Good call, Eric.
Yeah.
We both missed this one.
So if you put Bargain on him, all of your other double strikers have trample too. Bargain is the 1 red.
It gives non-human stuff.
Yeah, it gives non-human.
Right? Oh. So Fencing Ace is a human.
The Fencing Ace is a human.
Yeah. But side note, I love that they made non-human a tribe.
Yeah.
Right? There's like all these payoffs for playing not humans. I just love the flavor of that.
Yeah.
They
can't do weird things.
Each attacking non-human creature gains trample. So not Fencing Ace.
But still.
Yeah. I think giving the Madcap trample though means that deck might play this over Infuriate. So we'll see.
Yeah.
What was that card? The +3/+3 and trample to an attacking creature. That card rotated out.
Yeah,
right?
run amok.
Yeah, that was in Dominaria. Okay. Yeah. So this is probably the best trample option.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to say about red cap?
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Okay. So we're on to 7. Mike, you're 7.
7 is Garnbrig Paladin.
What color is that?
Green. I think it's it's
the 5-drop.
5-drop with adamant. So I'm not sure if anyone talked about adamant. So adamant is if you pay 3, if you use at least 3 mana of the same color, then it comes with a bonus.
Well,
so
of a specific color.
Of a specific color, excuse me. So this one, you 4 colorless, 1 green for a 4/4 adamant. When if you at least if 3 green mana was used, it comes in with a +1/+1 counter, and then it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. I think this is a really good, very big card. Especially mono green aggro. I was thinking about this too, and like I know in mono green aggro you have the Gorilla Shaman.
Yeah.
But I like being able to, for creatures not being able to block.
But the Shaman has trample.
Yeah, it has trample.
So like you don't care if they block with their 2-power creatures. I don't know.
So my question is,
I don't think this is a bad card.
Yeah.
I just think that Shaman is a little bit better than...
I liked this card too, but I have to ask myself, what makes this better than Rampaging Renhorn? The one with, it's the exact same thing but with Riot instead of Adamant, and it doesn't have Trample.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I think the evasion on this is
really
very
yeah.
good.
No, I thought it had Trample. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that it's fighting for the same niche as the Shaman, the Silverback Shaman from M20, and I don't know, I just really like drawing cards. And I think Trample and Can't Be Blocked by Power 2 or less are similar enough that the drawing a card just kind of edges it out for me. But I don't think this is a bad card.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So that was your 7?
That was my 7.
My 7 is your honorable mention, Wildwood Tracker. As I said, I think that this is basically always going to attack for 2 on turn 2, which means you're either trading up with their 2-drop or hitting them in the face for 2 on turn 2, all of which are amazing things for aggro decks. We have seen the format consistently be defined by the quality of the 1-drop creatures, and I think that this... I still think Frilled Sandwall is slightly better than this as a 1-drop creature, but I think that it's real close.
Yeah.
Right? The threat of activation on Sandwalla means that it's going to be getting through on turn 2, right? But being able to hit for 3 later in the game, I think, makes it slightly better than this. Yeah. But, I mean, like, this is essentially a 1-mana 2/2. And it triggers on defense, too.
Yeah, so it's like a good replacement for Deep Root Warrior, because when it blocks, it gets +1. I mean, well, yeah.
And if you're strapped
it's a
for
similar
mana,
effect, just smaller.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, if you're strapped for mana in the very beginning of the game, I think Wildwood Tracker is slightly better in that regard.
Yeah. So again, 1-drops are so important in this format. So Wildwood Tracker, I think, is just going to be great. Of note, if you're playing against this card and you have instant speed removal in your hand, when your opponent goes to their combat step, before they declare attackers, you can kill their other non-human creature, and then it won't get the trigger. But you can't... Yeah. Wait. So if they declare this as a blocker, and then the trigger goes on the stack...
They can respawn on top of the stack.
Because it says if.
When it attacks...
So with the trigger on the stack when you're blocking, if you kill their creature in response, then it won't get the bonus. So just some tricks to keep in mind with it. But I mean, I'm assuming that this is basically always going to trigger every time it enters combat.
Yeah.
So it's just a 1-mana 2/2, which is great.
Can't wait to see that blowout.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my 7. Eric,
that was my
7
too.
Oh, okay. Anything you want to add?
No, pretty much the same thing.
Okay. I stole your thunder.
Nah.
All right. So 6, Mike.
6 is Fierce Witch Stalker.
The
4-mana.
Boom.
Yeah. I just haven't seen a lot of creatures with trample, and this actually was pretty good. It's a good, I think, it's a solid replacement for Jade Guardian. Yeah. And you get a food token too in answer. So.
Yeah. So this is essentially a 4-mana 4/4 trample, gain 3 life. Yeah.
So that's a lot of value right
Unless
there.
you sacrifice the food token to provoke their creature with your 2-drop.
Yeah, I just didn't find any... I wasn't thinking like what I could do with the food tokens, but when you mentioned the Rider, I really like the Rider, but I didn't know of a good way to find food. But Fierce Witch Stalker. Yeah.
And the cottage. Or the gingerbread, whatever it's called.
Yep, nope, you got me now.
Okay, so that was your...
Yes.
That was your 6? So we're on to my 6. Okay, my 6 is keeping in line with the quality of 1-drops in the format. Weaselback Redcap. Strictly worse, I think, than Fanatical Firebrand, and probably similar in power level to Gitu Lava Runner. But, you know, it's a 1-mana 1/1. I don't think that the creature types are going to be relevant. Goblin Knight. But the ability is pretty good.
Yeah.
1 red, 1 colorless, Weaselback Redcap gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And you can activate it more than once. Right? So, again, as I said earlier, red decks kind of struggle when they flood out, this gives you, like, you know, if you're in a top deck war and the boards are clear and you draw this and your opponent doesn't draw a blocker, you might just, like, fireball them in the face, right? You might just go take 7, right? So getting that out of your 1-drop is good. This thing can trade up into, like, 3 drops, 4 drops, 5 drops. Usually it'll probably just, like, trade with a 2-drop or another 1-drop, but I think all those scenarios are fine, right? So I think this is Red's best 1-drop currently.
I wouldn't feel so bad if I traded the red cap for like a 2 or 3 drop.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, so that was my 6.
My 6 is a black card, Foreboding Fruit.
Oh.
Oh, we gotta go back. Yeah. So.
Drawing cards.
Yeah, I really, really like, what is it called? Something for Blood? What was that card? It was just
Blood
like
for Bones.
Blood for Bones.
There it is. Boom.
Yeah, so for 3 mana, 2 and a black, it's a sorcery that lets you, or lets a player draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. And it has Adamant, so if you use at least 3 black mana to cast a spell, you create a food token. So, I think that black doesn't really, it's known for not really being able to draw cards, right?
Well, it just has to pay a steep price for drawing cards. Yeah.
And this isn't really a steep price because you create a food token, and afterwards, if you really want to use a food token for life, then there's that. But I think just having that much of an advantage is really nice, just drawing those 2 cards.
Yeah. I look at this card and I compare it to Soul Salvage. And, like, the 2 cards on top of your deck, I think on average are going to be worse than the 2 best creatures in your graveyard, unless you're casting this, like, on turn 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And also, like, unless you're mono black, you're probably not going to get the food token, right? So, I think that this is just competing for space with Soul Salvage. The control decks, I think, if you're paired with blue, then you don't need to worry about this because you have better options. If you're, like, trying to play red-black control or, like, black-green mid-range or something like that, then maybe you want to think about a card like this.
Yeah.
But, again, if you're playing 2 colors, then you're probably not going to get the food token unless it's, like, turn 6 or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this effect, I mean, drawing cards is powerful, so I think keeping track of these effects is very noteworthy.
Yep. I've been trying to brew up a deck where I can use this, so we'll see during the...
Well, while you're brewing those decks, just ask yourself, should this just be Soul Salvage?
Oh,
let me know what you come up with.
Yeah.
I didn't put that much thought into this card, actually.
But I think it's noteworthy. I don't have it on my list.
It's a burn spell.
Sure. Yeah, it's great. It's way better than Soul Salvage when your opponent is that too.
That would be crazy. I would like to see that happen.
It's a lightning helix.
Yeah. I have killed people with Sign in Blood before, so.
Yes.
All right. So that was your 6.
Yes.
All right. So Mike, you're 5.
5, 7 dwarfs.
Ooh.
7.
Oh man.
7
oh,
dwarfs.
Man.
5 should have by 5. That should have been in the 7th slot. Now I'm just kidding. 7 dwarfs.
Yeah. Flavor fail, man. There it is.
I like this card, but I mean.
So one red, 1 colorless, 2/2 dwarf. 7 dwarves get +1/+1 for each other creature named 7 dwarves you control. A deck can have up to 7 cards named 7 dwarves.
So mono red loses a lot of things after rotation. This clearly puts this clearly is an easy 7 of in the deck.
I haven't thought about it as like just an inclusion in mono red, but I guess that makes sense.
Automatic, huh. Especially with that. There's that one card. That 3-drop you mentioned, where like you tap a creature, it gets +1/+1 and trample. That 3.
The 3 mana 3/2.
With when you tap a creature, a non-human creature.
The red
cap raiders.
So you turn 3, you drop a. Well, let's say turn 2 you drop a 7 dwarf. Turn 3 you drop the red cap. Turn 4 you drop another 7 dwarves.
2 more 7 dwarves.
2 more 7 dwarves. You tap that. You tap the one that came to play, gets +1/+1 plus. The 7 dwarf that came into play earlier gets an extra 2 power. I mean,
yeah, I think that this would essentially just be your entire 2-drop slot.
Yeah.
In a red deck, maybe you play like between 1 and 3 more 2-drops. to supplement it, but I'd say like if you draw 2 copies, then it's probably better than Pack Mastiff. If you draw like 3 or 4 copies, then it's way better than Pack Mastiff. So I can pick up what you're putting down. I'm not mad at this card. I didn't really think about it in that context. I was just like, oh, this is not Relentless Rats, so I'm just gonna ignore it.
I feel like we need to do the math and see how often you can get a 7 dwarves.
Yeah, because like just if you only draw 1, then it's so underwhelming. Yeah. But I think like if you have 7 of them in your deck, like the odds of drawing 2 by turn 3 or 4 is reasonable. Yeah. I mean, I would I'm not Frank Karsten. I can't do the math on it, but
you don't have a Python equation to.
Yeah, I don't.
Just imagine any like Anthem effects or like Might of the Mass. Or you attack for one that's got 3, you Might of the Mass, and you get plus 7.
This does give me an idea.
+7, or like if
what idea does this give you?
You could just run Rakdos and use Soul Salvage to get all of the ones that died back.
And Eye Collector, you can mill them then get them back.
Or a Forever Young.
There it is.
With Foreboding Fruit, so you can get the other 2.
That's just a gross bad.
I feel like we're jumping through too many hoops. But I'm not mad at trying it out in just a standard red aggro deck.
So when you play during your pre-release, it's important to note you are allowed to play as many cards that you get for most cards, but with 7 dwarves, you're only allowed to play 7.
Yes.
Just to make sure you guys know that.
Although the odds of opening more than 7 of these in a pre-release is like it's almost impossible. Yeah. You would need to open like 3 foil ones. Or two foil ones and 1 in each pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, that is good.
Well, when you guys draft.
Yes, it'll be more relevant for draft. Alright, so that was your 5?
Yes.
Okay, my 5. The fact that neither of you guys have mentioned this yet makes me think that you might be higher than me on this, but my 5 is Gingerbrute. Again, I think that the quality of the 1-drops in the format just determined the pace of everything else, and this is a 1-drop that can go into any aggro deck. It has haste, so like, you know, it'll likely get in on turn 1, and then the fact that it has pseudo evasion, you know, like the number of creatures, the percentage of played creatures in the format that can block this once you activate it are so low.
Yeah.
I mean, other than other people's Gingerbrutes. But and then, you know, if you're on your back foot, you can chump and sack it to gain 3 life, right? It is a food. You can sacrifice this to the 3/1.
Yeah. It does say food.
Yes, it is a food golem. So, Gingerbrute is a 1 colorless artifact creature food golem. It's a 1/1 haste. You can pay 1. Gingerbrute can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. And then you can pay 2 and tap it and sack it to gain 3 life, just like any other food. So, artifact, you know, solid 1-drop, decent ability, pseudo evasion. It's a 1-drop that's going to see play. Like, the white decks might play this, the red decks will probably play it. You know, any other. I think the green decks might care more about their curve than like just only playing 1-drops, and green already has so many good 1-drops.
I think red, red.
But I do think that red and white will probably consider this.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and if your opponent is playing Gingerbrutes, you side in your Gingerbrutes to block their Gingerbrutes. No, I'm kidding. We're getting too deep here. But that is my number 5. I do think it'll see lots of play.
You know, if you have Prey Upon, and you attack with a Gingerbrute with someone else, it's a food fight.
Got him. Will you open the door and just let her out? Alright. The dog has escaped the recording room. Okay, so that was my 5. Eric, your 5 is...
So my 5 is a red. It is Crystal Slipper.
Ooh. Yep. Fancy.
I think it's a flavor fail. You cannot run in those stiletto heels. That I think it should have dealt 1 damage. Tap to deal 1 damage, but this is just as good. So Crystal Slipper is an artifact, 1 in a red. It's an equipment, and the equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste. So, and the equip cost is 1.
Yeah.
So I think for 1 mana, it's very, very good. Kind of reminds me of, what was that? The Strider thing with the raptor on it, but that costs 3 mana and it gives +1/+1. But having haste, especially in the mid to late game, is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Or if you're mono red, you can just maybe put 2 of these in and just like play a 1-drop and attack with it immediately with that 1 extra damage.
I'm a little higher than you on this card.
Yeah.
But I think that equipment is just great in standard Pauper, so...
Yeah. The haste is really, really relevant, especially if you want to block those ginger brutes.
You're right. All right. Do you have this on your list, Mike?
No, I do not have this on my list.
At all?
I was considering this too.
Okay. Well, I'm higher on it than you, so I'll say more when we get to my ranking.
Still a flavor fail. Can't run in those.
You're right.
It's Cinderella, right? Didn't she have to ditch the shoe to run?
No, she forgot the shoe when she put
the shoe fell off, right? And while she was trying to get away. So that makes sense. Okay, so that was your 5, Mike. Your 4.
Flutterfox.
Oh.
I so like this card.
There we are.
So cute.
It's
looks
1
like
colorless, 1 white for a fox. As long as you control an artifact or enchantment, Flutterfox has flying.
And it's a 2/2.
Yes. Yeah, like with the what card was that? Rose Thorn Halberd. And you still have, and like in mono white, like let's see pacifism something. Let's see. I mean, I wish Short Sword was still in the format. This one is so good.
Yeah. The white common equipment is just so bad.
So I feel like this card's gonna be seeing maybe some play, especially in the mono white aggro decks.
Yeah.
Especially with pacifism. I mean, that's only 4 enchantments.
They already play pacifism.
Yeah. I mean, like
you could play Trapped in the Tower.
Yeah.
To have,
it's just
like,
a non-flyer though.
Yeah.
So you can but what it can do is 2/2 for flying. I mean, it's
a 2-powered flyer for 2 mana is like just where you want to be in standard Pauper. So putting in a little extra work to get there, not the worst thing. I was thinking about having this on my list, but maybe I just haven't looked close enough at the white 2-drops that are surviving rotation. So maybe this is going to be the go-to 2-drop in that slot.
The unicorn's gone, the bishop guy's gone.
Yeah, you're playing like the 2-mana 1/3 flyers.
Yeah, and
right?
Deeper Chaplain.
Yeah.
Concordia Pegasus. I'll tell you what, this beats the vanilla test. If it's a flyer.
Yeah.
So
if it's a flyer.
Yeah. And that shouldn't be so hard if you're trying to work through that.
So this was your 4.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're on my 4. My 4 is another 1-drop. Fairy Guide Mother. I imagine you guys are higher on this than I am, since you haven't mentioned it yet. But, Trusty Rusty's rotated out. This guy is probably just going to slot right into those slots. Oh, it's a 1-mana 1/1 flyer, and it has fairy, and it has an adventure. Gift of the Fae is a 1 white, 1 colorless sorcery, notably. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. Right, so if you draw this early, you just play it as a 1/1 and you're happy. If you draw it like later on, then you get to give a creature +2/+1 and flying, and then play your 1/1. Right, so just the flexibility of it, I think, is good. I don't know what. I think most of the creatures in white aggro that survive rotation already have flying, which is why I don't have this higher on my list. So like the Gift of the Fae being a sorcery, right? It's not really a combat trick. It's just like get in extra damage. But like it's a very playable creature, and it's a relevant adventure. So this is gonna be a staple in White Weenie, I think, for the next 2 years.
I just don't like that it's a 1/1, but I do like the card. That's all.
Do you guys not have this on your list?
Oh, it's there.
I don't have it on mine, but I know that it's really good.
Okay, yeah. All right, so that was my number 4. So your 4, Eric, is
the Ginger Brute.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about it?
Well, if you have it inside of the Pants deck again, most of the cards can't block it. So
I didn't even think about it there. You can tell how much I like the Pants deck, given like how little I think about it when new cards come out. Making putting equipment on this guy, right? Or auras.
Or
and
turn
then,
2 doing the halberd and then giving it
evasion.
unblock
yeah,
area evasion.
that's a good point. It is notably not a human.
Yep.
Okay. That'd be kind of twisted if they made human food.
That'd be crazy. Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. So that was your
was my
4.
4.
So Mike, we're on your 3.
Ginger Brute.
Your 3 is Ginger Brute.
My 3
Okay.
Ginger Brute. Like, I like where this card is going. I don't know. I mean, you got both of you touched on it so much. There's nothing else to say.
It's an artifact.
Yeah.
It's good. It's gonna see play in a ton of decks.
I think it's gonna be auto.
I thought about having this as my 1 just because it would probably see the most play out of any other cards in the set.
The fact that it's food makes it good as well. Like, just a lot better.
You have lots of flexibility, right? Usually a 1 mana, 1/1 haste is not good when you're behind, but gaining 3 life is decent when you're behind. And notably, because it has haste, you can tap and sack it the turn that it comes into play.
Costs 1 more mana, but...
Alright, so you said that was your 3?
That is my 3.
So we're on my 3?
Yes.
Okay, my 3 is... Where is it? But I really like equipment. So, Rose Thorn Halberd, we already talked about it. 1 green artifact equipment. When it comes into play, attach it to target non-human creature you control. Equip creature gets +2/+1, and the equip cost is 5. That's a very steep equip cost, but the fact that the first one is free,
Yep.
you know, it's so cheap. You just weave it into your curves so nicely. Get in a bunch of damage if they're prioritized to trade with it, and then by the time you run out of stuff to do, right, you just slap it back on. I think this is much better than Talons of Wildwood. Which recently rotated out and saw a little bit of play in the mono green aggro decks, which was a 2-cost aura that gave +1/+1 and trample, and you could pay 4 to bring it back from your graveyard to your hand.
3.
Yeah. So I think it's similar, but the fact that it's +2/+1 just changes the math on things so much. So I'm really high on this card. I was very sad to see Short Sword go, and this is no Short Sword.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to see the common equipment get a little more flashy.
Yeah.
So that was my 3.
My 3 was Weaselback Redcap.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really like it as a 1-drop.
Yeah.
Especially since, like you said, Firebrand is leaving.
Yep.
We really need more 1-drops in the mono red deck.
Definitely. This and Ginger Brute, and then like Footlight Fiend might be the next best one.
Yeah.
So,
Footlight Fiend.
When it dies, it's a 1/1 that
the hybrid.
Oh, okay, and you saw Scorch Death Spitter too.
Yeah.
That's the 1/1 elemental.
I'm not
but
stoked
I
on
still
Scorch
think that's
Spitter.
better.
Yeah. Like, I want my 1 mana creatures to either be evasive or to trade up in combat.
Yeah.
And Scorch Spitter does neither of those things.
Yeah. This thing's pretty efficient for what it is.
Yeah, definitely. We saw, I think Lava Ridge Runners was the 1-drop in... No, it was a goblin. It was like a 1 mana 1/2, and you could pay 3 to give it +2/+0. And like, I think it was in Battle for Zendikar or one of those.
Oh.
We saw a ton of red decks playing that when we first started running the youth tournaments. And I think that this is better. The fact that the activation is cheaper, instead of having the 2nd toughness. So,
right.
Yeah, this card is great.
Yeah, I love him.
All right, so that was your 3. Moving on to your 2, Mike.
Fairy Guide Mother.
All right.
The fairy.
Yes. I mean, it's you have the slower. It's like a slower Mighty Leap-ish, but then like.
Well, Mighty Leap.
I mean, +2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
Not being instant is a big knock against this. This would hands down be my number 1 if the adventure was an instant.
I mean, it replaces Rustling Falcon. And like also like what this allows whoever's playing this card kind of what to prioritize. You want to prioritize the creature, or you prioritize the sorcery, the spell part.
Yeah.
So it adds another depth to like how to utilize this card or any of the adventure cards.
Yeah, it rewards good sequencing.
Yeah.
Because I imagine you're going to play this in a deck full of other 1-drops, right?
Yes.
So you want to play your Healer's Hawk before this, right? You probably want to play your Law Rune Enforcer before this. So, yeah, playing this on turn 3 to get in 2 extra damage and then playing your 1/1 is fine. I really like the good adventure cards because they just give you so much flexibility on how to use your mana. So that was your 2?
Yes.
Okay, my 2 is Glass Slipper. So we already talked about this one. I just really like equipment in this format. I think it adds a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
Because like we haven't seen a ton of kids have success with control, but I think that control is one of the strongest archetypes in Standard Pauper currently.
Yeah.
But it really struggles once the other if the aggro deck has recurring sources of advantage such as equipment, then the control decks start to struggle. So I think that having good quality equipment is an important aspect of the format, and this one is just so good in the aggro decks. It'll be good in just straight mono red aggro, right?
Yeah.
It's a mana sink. You in top deck wars, right? You draw your creature, boom, it can immediately attack, and then it'll probably see play if. Very rarely are there curve out decks in Standard Pauper, but if there is a curve out deck playing red, then Crystal Slipper is great in it, right? Because then you're scaling up to like 4 or 5 mana creatures, and then giving those haste is way better. So, yeah, super high on Crystal Slipper. I always want to call it Glass Slipper, but and I always want to call Fairy Godmother.
Yeah.
But copyright, whatever. Okay, so your 2, Eric?
My 2 is the Halberd.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think it's a very, very good card. All of these equipment also just shows that in the future they're not afraid to print colored artifacts.
Yeah.
So it's a bit you can push
It
the
adds
power
a lot
level.
of depth.
Push the power level of these artifacts a lot more.
Yeah. So artifact destruction might become more relevant.
Well, probably.
What is that? Reckless Assault might be the best sideboard card for red now.
What is Reckless Assault?
Deal 3 to a flyer or kill an artifact.
Yeah. That's super
It's a
good.
sorcery.
Oh, okay.
It's an M20.
Yeah. It's the goblin
Alright.
riding the.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
On the kite thing.
So we're all super high on the equipment. So that was your 2. All right. The big finale. What's your number 1, Mike?
Ardenvale Tactician.
What?
What
It's
card?
white.
It's a white.
Oh, the 3-drop?
The 3-drop. Ardenvale Tactician.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
So
this was not on my radar at all.
Oh man!
So sell me.
So okay, so mono white loses Territorial Hammer Skull, which is very big, because when it attacks you tap a creature. So then like for this you tap 2 creature. So the adventure part you tap it's Dizzying Swoop, 1 white 1 colorless.
That is
for
an
instant.
awesome name for a spell.
Yeah.
Dizzying Swoop. Points for that.
You tap 2 creatures. So then on your next turn you can just go wide. Well, depending if there's no other creatures, but you tap 2 creatures at the end of your turn. At the end of their turn 2, and you attack, and then you play the creature part. As a 2/3 flying, and you don't see a lot of there wasn't a lot of good 3-drop flyers. Like there was which one was that? The Pegasus, the tap 1/3 Pegasus that gives another creature flying.
So we had this exact card besides the adventure in Ixalan. It was a vampire.
Oh.
It was a 2/3 vampire with this exact thing.
Oh, just without the adventure. Yeah.
So.
But I think with the adventure it does make it a lot better.
So
yeah, I don't think I would play the adventure by itself, but hearing you talk about it, I do think that the white decks will probably want this effect in it.
This is auto.
And it's a very low opportunity cost to play that effect since it's stapled onto a decent body.
Yeah.
But like neither the body is super exciting, and the spell is like sometimes the spell is just going to win you the game, right?
It's like
tap
for 2 turns.
Tap your 2.
Or I mean like
it keeps them from attacking.
Yeah.
And then you with Law Rune Enforcer, you can just tap down so this you tap down 2 other creatures. You use Law Rune Enforcer to tap down 1 at the end of their turn. Then on your turn again, you just go in with everybody. It was hard because it was this or there was a 4 mana Anthem effect. It's a sorcery with adamant.
Oh, the +1/+1 counter on all your creatures.
And if you have the adamant that has vigilance, it was hard to. But then yeah, I like this card. I see so much. I see this card gonna be a lot of play.
I don't think this is gonna be an auto include in White Weenie. I think that it's a nice option for White Weenie to have.
It'd be good as a sideboard too.
Sure. But like, I don't know, I'm not super excited about casting either half of this, but maybe the two of them together like makes it good enough.
I think it's gonna take a lot of testing to see how it plays out.
I do admit that Dizzying Swoop will probably win the game, like maybe 15 to 20% of the time that you cast it, but I don't know.
Everybody's just quiet.
I like it. I do.
Yeah.
But I want to see it in action.
I think it'll see play, but I don't think it'll be like the go-to 3-drop. Maybe I could very well be wrong though. We'll see. I haven't looked closely at what the other 3-drops are. So that was your number one?
Yes.
Okay. If you haven't figured it out yet, my number one is all 5 of the lands. Really? I think these cards are insane. Like, just absolutely busted good. Like, the opportunity cost to put these in your deck, if you're a monocolored deck, is like almost 0. Right? Like, yeah, you don't want to play it on turn 1.
And this format is all monocolored unless you're like doing a guild thing.
Right. I do think there are going to be 2-colored decks still in the format.
Yeah.
But I do think that almost every color is going to have a monocolored deck. And, like, there's no way you could convince me to play less than 4 Dwarven Mine, even in mono red aggro. Right? Like, sure, I'm going to have to play a tap land on turn 1 sometimes, but, like, just the opportunity cost of getting a 1/1, like, out of your land is...
For free.
Yeah, like... I don't know, maybe you play 3 because you don't want to play it on turn 1 or 2 or 3, but like you're cutting mountains to get this free 1/1, right? Like I agree that the white one is probably the strongest, right? And then the blue one and the black one have the highest upside, but I also think that like triggering the blue one is going to be the hardest because blue very rarely like plays. You very rarely have a spell-heavy blue deck that is only mono blue. But like the white one for sure has a home. The red one for sure has a home. If there's a mono black deck, which is Cottage, will be there. And I think Gingerbread Cabin is going to be like just a slam dunk in the mono green deck. Like, yeah.
So just to go back with the Gingerbread Cabin, I didn't really look out for synergies with food, so. You sold me on that.
Yeah,
sure.
I think the 3/1 is the only food synergy at common.
Yeah.
But you know, even just having your land gain you 3 life, like in the mid game, I think that's.
You can kind of think of these as like 0 mana spells that should cost 1.
Yeah.
Because most of these abilities are just like 1 mana spells, except the white one. The white one I can see as a 1.5 or a 2.
Right.
Because that's a bit more permanent.
But, like, you're not spending a card.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Get it. So that's I don't know.
No, that's why I really like it, but I had it further up just because I think it wouldn't be fair to call all of the cards at once.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, they are powerful.
Yeah, if I had to pick just one, it would be the white one, but I do think that all of them will probably see play. Yeah. Like, the blue one is the most questionable one just because mono blue isn't always a thing, but you know, we already know mono red and mono green are going to exist and they're going to play this card. Well, maybe not as a 4 of, but like even if you're playing it as a 2 or 3 of, like the opportunity cost to put in your deck is basically 0 at that point. So
with like a blue black or a blue based control deck, I can see that where endgame you can just use that as a free spell to get a card back.
Yeah, like they want to take the game long, so
yeah, so that I can see.
But like those 2-color control decks are playing the tap lands.
Yeah.
Right. So
they need
like, and that means that you're not. That's even fewer islands that are going to be in your deck. So
yeah.
I think having the smoothness on your color sources is more important than having this effect. So I don't know. Maybe you'll play like 1 or 2 in 2-color decks. But you're for sure gonna play like 2 to 4 in your monocolored decks.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah.
What is your number one, Eric?
My number one, Arcane Signet. Command Tower. No, I'm just kidding. Those are literally unplayable.
Yeah,
unless you want that Flutter Fox synergy with the...
I do hope that Brawl takes off, though, because like the kids do love playing Brawl, and having it be accessible would be nice.
It was nice during that whole arena week where you could play Brawl for the weekend.
Those decks were just so bad, though.
Yeah, but it was fun to play.
Sure.
It was free, so...
Yeah.
So,
okay, but tangent, so your number one is...
My number one is... Forever Young... I wanna be forever young. Okay.
Is that... Oh, okay.
So, I think in a world where there are no board wipes, you have to one-for-one everything. Having an end game where each turn you have a relevant card would be really, really good. Like, you play Forever Young, you take out, let's just say in a Golgari deck, the Rhizome Lurchers, the vultures, not the collector, but like the 5/5
necromancer.
Yeah, the necromancer, those kind of stuff. And each turn you can apply pressure. I think that's really strong. Also, in the blue-black control decks, you can run 4 Cloudkin Seers and just pump out all of the Cloudkin Seers.
Yeah, or Blade Jugglers.
Yeah, or the Blade Jugglers.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're chaining together cantrip creatures, this card seems busted.
Yeah.
Although, like, getting cantrip creatures back off of Soul Salvage, like, is similarly good, but I think the upside on this is probably higher.
Yeah.
Or the ceiling on how good this card can be.
I just see this as, like, a nice end game to a control or mid-range shell where you can just drop. And have them answer each thing, and eventually they won't be able to answer it because you have another Forever Young to just drop.
It is an amount of consistency that we have not seen before in Standard Pauper, right? Like, the only thing close to that is probably the Battalion Foot Soldier.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even Devious Cover-Up doesn't give you, like, this amount of just, here is what I'm going to be doing for the next X turns.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Goblin Recruiter.
Yeah. This card was an instant for 3 mana in Lorwyn.
Oh, really?
Foot Bottom Feast. Yeah, same exact card, just an instant for a black and 2 colorless.
We're back in the Fairy Tale land.
Yeah.
The tribal, whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is a very flavorful card, right?
Okay. I mean, this card is like, I get what you're talking about, Golgari. You get your value off of Rhizome Lurcher, then you just Forever Young to put everything back on top and like call. And
if you're against like an aggro deck, you put in all of like the Healer of the Glades or the Cruel Forgers.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see that card being very good, especially as you said in the decks full of cantrip creatures. Although Dusk Legion Zealot is leaving.
Yeah.
Hey, but you have a Tome Raider.
And Wicked Guardian is so bad.
We do have the Blade Juggler, so...
Yeah, there is Blade Juggler, Silverback Shaman, and Audacious Thief are kind of cantrip creatures.
I'll say though,
Skier.
Wicked Guardian's Pug's awesome.
Is there a pug?
There's a pug on there.
Oh, I guess that is
it's
a pug.
It's like a pug bat with the poofy... Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted that to be a really good card when I saw the art.
Yeah, I saw the draw a card on it, and I wanted it to be a good card, and then I looked at, like, how many 3 toughness creatures there are that are worth playing, and it's just like, oh, this is just going to kill whatever you target. And
you start looking at the rest of the card, you see the 4 mana, and you see the 2 damage, and it's like, oh.
So, none of us mentioned this card, but notably...
OPT?
Opt is getting reprinted, so it was set to cycle out.
Yeah.
It was number 1 as our most notable blue card leaving. So the fact that it's going to be reprinted is good news for the We Dragnauts decks and probably some of the control decks that want to play it. So we didn't mention it in our list just because it's kind of... Yeah, it's not something that's new. It's just staying around, so... Notable inclusion there, but I'm super stoked about this format. This set seems great for Standard Pauper. It seems like they they pushed some boundaries, and it's interesting to see. I mean, like, I think the core of the standard Pauper format is essentially going to stay the same, but, like, the way that the different decks can interact with each other, I think, is going to get shaken up a fair amount, right?
Right.
Like, the aggro decks with a good curve are still going to be, you know, the centerpiece of the format, but the different tools that they have and the ways that they're going to be able to play off of each other definitely got shaken up here a fair amount. So, super stoked. Thank you if you've made it this far. Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by. And again, shameless plug, if you want to support us, check out our Patreon or just hit that subscribe button.
I hit the bell.
And the like.
Yeah, if you want to get all the notifications, make sure that bell is rung. And scholarship tournament December 14th. All right, thank you, gentlemen, and let us know what you think of the list, right?
Yeah.
Did we miss anything? Did we completely misevaluate? I mean, we all kind of had our evaluations all over the place, but we all kind of focused on the same cards, even if we did place them differently. But, yeah, thank you for stopping by, and we will catch you later. Peace.
Later.
Yeah.